Today is all about burgers, but guess what? It's not your typical grilled burger outside. This is a salmon burger, and what I love is, you know, we're starting to get into that time where we want grilled things, we want those great burgers to come, but guess what? It's still cold outside, especially where I live. So this is a way to do burgers inside and have a great fresh take on them. It's a salmon burger, but it's not a salmon patty with canned salmon. This is good, delicious salmon. So it has all your omegas in it, your good, healthy fats, great, delicious flavor. So what I'm doing to start is I am actually making sure my salmon fillets are skinless. So I'm taking off that skin on the bottom. Now you can usually buy boneless, skinless fillets. If not, just take a good sharp knife along something flat and pull it off. Then what I'm doing is I'm cutting it into chunks. So kind of 1/2-inch chunks, nothing important. What we're gonna do is create kind of two components of the salmon burger. First, we need almost a paste that will kind of pull it all together. So just think, you know how ground meat has a consistency that helps pull it together? That's what we need to do here. So we're gonna take, this is all the salmon to make the burgers. We're gonna take some of it and we're gonna put it right into a food processor, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but guess what? It isn't. This is actually gonna work. So we're gonna put in the salmon and we're gonna add to it a few things here. So I have most of my salmon in there, but I'm not gonna do it all. We're doing about 3/4 of the salmon and we're leaving a little bit of it so we have the right texture. Now I'm gonna wash my hand with soap and water. Since I touched something raw, I always like to make sure that I wash it too. So just like you were gonna do chicken or anything, when you're working with raw meats, even if it's fish, you wanna make sure you wash it with soap and water before you move on, before I touch it again. So with our salmon, we're gonna put some white beans. Now this is kind of unique, but these are just like small little navy beans that are rinsed and drained. And what they're gonna do is really help bind it all together. Just like a breadcrumb would do. I don't like to inundate things with extra bread or breadcrumbs. Serves a purpose, but white beans do too, and they have a starchiness that's really gonna help hold it together. Some capers. Now, if you're not used to capers, they come usually in a brine. They're little berries that are brined and they have a great bite to them. They work really well with fish, I think especially salmon, because they have a brightness to them and just kind of wake everything up. To that, we're also gonna add, some mustard. So this is kind of, it gives you that underlying funk, but it also helps bind it, and I think it balances out the flavors. So salmon is a fatty fish. It has a lot of good flavor, but you wanna make sure that you balance out the flavor too. So to that, we're gonna add some scallion. Now you can see this is going in here as a paste. So I'm just chopping up my scallion, some of the green, the light green parts and the white, and I'm just putting it right in there. With this, I'm also gonna make sure that I have kind of just everything in there so I can get down to the blade. So I'm gonna make sure nothing's sitting on top of the blade here before I put the lid on. And now we're going to pulse it until it's somewhat of a paste, our binding agent. So you can see this first round got pretty pasty. Now I scraped it once in between, so just take a spatula, go down. You don't wanna know there's beans in it. You don't wanna know any of those extra things, but you want pretty much a paste, which sounds gross, but this is what's gonna be like your ground meat that holds it all together. So now with the rest of the salmon that we have beautiful pieces of, I'm gonna put this in here. This is going to now make sure that our texture is correct, make sure that we have kind of a little bit of, you know, something in there that lets people know that this is salmon, not that it's just some type of weird ground meat. So to that, I wanna make sure we season it well too. We have some of the funk in there. The capers have a little bit of seasoning, but we also wanna add some salt because we have some good fats here and we really wanna make sure that we balance it out. We're gonna add some pepper too. Did I mention we're gonna be making a fresh aioli to put on it? Because these burgers have to go all the way. This is a great way to have something fun for a meal. So now I'm just gonna pulse it a few times to bring it all together. So I'm just pulsing it enough so when I look in, I see a few pieces, a few like chunks, and I kind of want that because that's what I want people to see, that these are salmon burgers. So this is ready to go. This is our beginnings of the burgers, which honestly, when you think about it, this really takes no more time. And what I love about using salmon fillets like that is I keep them in my freezer and I use frozen ones because I live in Iowa. There's no such thing usually as fresh fish here. So what we do is we keep some good quality ones in the freezer. Then when you need them, you have them. So what I'm doing now is I'm gonna make my patties. This is where your hands get dirty, yes, but you wanna portion this out. And usually what I do first is portion this out equally. So we're gonna make 4 good sized patties. I'm gonna first make portions to make sure that they're even, or as even as I can get them. And then we're going to actually form them more into a patty. But you can see it's easier. You could weigh it out if you wanted to. Kudos to you if you want to do that. I don't do that usually because I find it easier to see, look at how easy this is, to then be able to just check with your eyeball more and make sure we're getting all that goodness out of there. Because that's the thing, this is all good quality fish and you wanna make sure it all gets eaten, used, and treated well, because that's the point of good meats. When they're raised correctly and when they're really delicious, we need to treat them well and enjoy them properly so we can really take them into full effect. So now I'm going to kind of try to tightly take my patty and create a beautiful looking patty. And what I love is, as you're making your patty, you see how there's some bigger pieces of salmon and then you have the paste part? That's what's gonna make this an extra good burger. So I'm gonna pat these all into a patty. I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna set them in the fridge for just like 30 minutes. I like them to just slightly pull in and bind a little bit better, which those beans you can tell are really starting to work. They're gonna work even more in the fridge. Then we'll brown these up. While the burgers are chilling, I have the brioche buns out. You gotta go for a big bun. So these are obviously kind of gourmet style big burgers. They kind of come out to about 6 ounces a piece. Now you could totally make 6 burgers and make them 4 ounces, roughly, a piece. But what we're gonna do to get ready for these is make a really quick aioli. Now an aioli is really just a flavored mayonnaise. So to do this, we're gonna put everything, I like to make mayonnaise just quickly with an immersion blender in here, and I used to use 1 egg. Now traditionally you're gonna see that mayonnaises use just an egg yolk, but guess what? You can use the white too. Now, if you're worried about using a raw egg, you can buy pasteurized eggs. So you can do that too and then not have as much fear. I'm gonna use a little bit of Dijon mustard. I like mine kind of tangy, so sometimes I go strong and heavy on it. Are we surprised? No. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in there. A little bit of salt, there we go. A little bit of pepper, get a bit of fresh crack. Now, traditionally, an aioli is gonna have obviously some garlic in it, so I'm gonna start with a garlic clove. But what I also am gonna do here is add some other things. Since these are a salmon burger, I wanna add things that kind of bring up the traditional salmon and kind of bring some good traditional flavors with it. So we're gonna add a whole garlic clove. We're gonna add some dill. So to me, dill is that iconic, that's what you do with salmon. You put some delicious dill with it. So I wanna put these fronds right into the aioli I'm gonna have, because that's really gonna add that delicious hit of dill, which is what you want. So you oftentimes will see smoked salmon with dill, or you're gonna have a little bit of dill flavor somewhere with your salmon. That's what this is gonna do, is really punch it up. Now, I like to add just a few capers too. So the capers, again, it adds a punch, a brininess, a flavor, and I just think it's a great way to kind of add them in. So along with the capers, what I'm gonna do now is I have all those things in there. I'm just gonna give it a few whirls here. On the immersion blender. To me, this is the easiest way. You can do this in a regular blender too, but just put it right over and just start working together that egg yolk, the egg white, and all the flavors. Now, as I have it started, I'm just going to, as it's going, drizzle in my oil. I'm using a neutral oil, which means one that doesn't have flavor. So you could do an avocado, you could do a grapeseed, canola, corn oil. I'm gonna start drizzling it in, and it's gonna start emulsifying as I do it. So you can see as I'm drizzling the oil in and I'm pulsing, see how it's now getting thicker? Look at that. So you drizzle it in, because if you just put in all your oil right away, it can sometimes inundate it, and that yolk and the fat does not receive the oil well and it doesn't emulsify. Then you'll get a runny, unemulsified mayonnaise, and that's just not gonna be good. But look at that beauty right there. I love making mayonnaise, and to me, when you make it at home, you know exactly what's in it, and I love that. You could use an olive oil too. It'll just take on some of the flavor of the olive oil. So at this point, I wanna just taste a little bit. You can see that beautiful green hue. You get all that dill in there. Oh, that's good. What I will do though, is take out my immersion blender part, and I will put in just a little pinch more salt. I'll stir that in here after a bit. That's why I always taste at the end. Seasoning, even, every time it could be a little different, because every time an egg is a slightly different size, so you need to do that. So we're gonna let this sit, and what I have over here is a cast iron skillet. I'm gonna pull on the burner and let it start heating up. And I have a little bit of oil in there. Again, it's that avocado oil. It's that oil that has no flavor. And I want it to be a high heat oil, so that's why I'm using avocado. These have been sitting in the fridge. You can see they're nice, not congealed, but they have a nice tightness to them. They bound together, and that's what we want. So this is gonna heat up. I'm gonna let that oil just begin to shimmer. which means it will start to kind of have a ripple effect across it, which means it's gonna be hot. And that's when I'm gonna add these. We're gonna cook them, turn them, brown them beautifully on both sides, then enjoy them. About 2 to 3 minutes per side, and then you wanna flip them. So I'm letting these brown nicely. I mean, look how beautiful that patty is. We're gonna, oh, that's the beauty thing right there. We'll do the same thing here, and look at that, beautiful. So I'm gonna let them brown on both sides. I'll do the second batch, put these on a clean plate. We'll take them over, we'll try them. I'm excited. I just took the last 2 off the skillet. Look at the beauty they have. They're so browned and gorgeous. Now, you don't have to have guesswork here. I just take the temperature. I just stick an instant read thermometer in them, just like I would a piece of salmon, so I know when they're done. You don't have to go just by looks, especially with fish. You don't know for sure. Any meat, I like to check. So now you can just enjoy the building of the sandwich. I like I said, these are more of a gourmet style, bigger one. So I like a big bun, a big brioche style, which, you know, it's just for looks. Like I said, you could make these smaller, but look how beautiful they look on there. So what I'm gonna do is put some aioli. Look at, which, if you don't make homemade aioli, let me tell you something, it becomes like a dip. I mean, it is super good. This one has that fresh kick with the dill and everything. I like a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of red onion. I just think it adds something to the burger. I think it adds something special. And I like a nice crunchy leafy lettuce if I can find it. So just think here soon, in a couple months, I'm gonna be having this coming from the garden, which what is wrong with that? But look at that. That just looks so delicious. This to me is like such a good burger. And it's a different type of burger. That's what's great. Okay. I crave this more than I would a hamburger. What I love is the flavor. It's not just your typical burger. It has that delicious salmon in it, which has kind of nuances that you have to think about to pull apart, but they're all there. You get that little bit of kick from the scallion that's in there. The caper really balances it out. The salmon has such great flavor because salmon is a delicious fish. It's a rich fish. And that's what I love about this, which the richness is complemented with that aioli we made. It has a bright kick to it, and I love that. And then it has all the delicious lettuce with it, the crunchiness. Look at that. I mean, that is just, to me, how can you not want that burger? If you love burgers and you're worried, I'm not into salmon, this might change your mind. If you love salmon and think you're just ready for something different, this is your thing. This is a great go-to, and it's a great way to kind of enjoy the flavors of the upcoming season, spring, summer, before they actually get here, and to do them indoors. It's a great, delicious thing. What do I hope you do with this? Yeah, I hope you make salmon burgers. I also hope you share this video around, because when you share these videos, of course it helps me so much, but it helps everyone else see how easy and fun, good, delicious food is to make at home. This is doable. If I can do this, anyone can do this. Check my website, wiseguide.com. It has this recipe, all my other recipes. They're all on the website. Check them out, use them, enjoy them, share them. Good food is meant to be shared.